Daily Sales Dojo. This is an environment where people come in and they talk sales. We have a live sales environment, live sales floor. So you'll see people come in and go out as they finish up or as they're conducting or need to go out to close up a deal. So right now we have everyone on the phone closing deals. So we're just starting out right now with our newest acquisition over here, which is Stephen Choi. And Stephen, man, why don't we start off here? You just made your first sale this morning.
Yes, pretty exciting. I made my first sale today, which is great because you still feel very unfamiliar with everything. So it's not like you're comfortable, but you guys gave me the script. I followed the script, and then with the help of your guidance, I was able to close the sale.
Well, to be fair, I didn't do much.
Most
of that was you.
I think the script was good, and the fact that it was an incoming call. Mm-hmm. So I think that was a big benefit as well.
Good. Well, walk us through it, man. What happened?
Well, I got a call from this gentleman, and I was kind of stumbling at the beginning, and I was asking him all these questions without being engaging, I guess, but I was able to kind of then transform just questions to kind of asking him some questions where it started a conversation and built a little more trust. And then from there, I was able to find out that what he didn't like about his plan was that he wanted to get glasses, but it wasn't covered. And then he had some dental issues, so he wanted some dental help as well. So the two things that he would have liked, benefits that he liked, that he was lacking in his current plan was the dental and vision. But he did like his current plan because there was no copay. He had a primary doctor that he went to that he liked and wanted to keep. And he also was going to a specialist that he liked and he also wanted to keep. And he was taking 5 different medications, which he also wanted to make sure that the coverage was there in terms of the copay. So, I just followed the instructions one by one. I knocked everything out. So I inputted the doctor's information, all the medication information, and then the system kind of pulls up all the best possible coverages for that gentleman. And then you just look through and you can notice that some of the coverages were way better in dental and vision than others. So that was what I suggested, and then he was happy with it. So we converted him to the new plan starting August 1st.
Excellent. Yeah, that's one of the big keys here is just focusing on what the customer is actually looking for and looking at, and making sure that they're not losing anything. Right in that point. So that's really good shot, man. I mean, one of the big secrets in the world is you don't have to have a whole lot of information. You don't have to have a whole lot of experience. You just got to focus on not messing up and getting to that next stage, next step. What's the next thing I need to get to? So you did really good on that. So tell us how the call. I know he called in and everything, but let's walk me through like the first interactions, like the first few lines where you got this guy actually opening up and talking about stuff.
Right. So you usually introduce yourself to the gentleman. And then, you kind of want to start off with something like, how are you doing? How's it going today? Something that kind of breaks the ice. Mm-hmm. But what I noticed was, when you're beginning, you're kind of nervous. So you tend to rush stuff. And I kind of noticed this after I closed, that this gentleman was going to kind of, since I was benefiting him, he was going to take the time necessary to do everything. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't like I was under the clock of like having to finish this in like 10, 15 minutes, Yeah. So I think I was almost like asking him too many questions at the beginning without actually listening to what he has to say. But the great thing is there is like a guide plan of what you're supposed to do. So I was able to take a time out from my rushness, relax, and then go back to following the procedure of like how to find out more about what he needs. So after we chit-chatted a while, I then told them that essentially I need some basic information to make sure that because the coverages are different depending on where you live, all that stuff. I also want to make sure that I had the correct gentleman with the right name, with the right zip code. So, there's like some questions that you have to ask. Obviously, you need to kind of like establish some rapport so they feel comfortable giving you their private information, such as like the zip code and the address and stuff like that. So went from there, and then I just basically followed the script, right? They have a bunch of questions that you're supposed to ask, and this is all fact gathering information. So, is he happy? What part of his coverage is he happy with? What part of his coverage is he not happy with? What kind of coverage would he like that he's not getting? And so basically what you're doing is you're interviewing the person and trying to find out, what their needs are and whether the plan that they currently have fits their needs. And so I had another lady earlier in that day, and when I went through that same process, the plan that she had was actually the best plan she could get. So there was nothing, she was very happy because I was telling her like, yeah, there's no need to change. You have the best plan possible. And, you can come back in October to basically check out the new plans. But for now, you can rest assured for the next 4 or 5 months, you have nothing to worry about. And don't let anyone convince you otherwise, right? So you can't get a better plan, but you can definitely hurt yourself if you switch. So I think the important thing is take your time, treat the person well, and get as much information as possible in terms of their needs and versus like, maybe their future needs and whatever the plan is currently covering. And so that's kind of like, I know you told me that, but, it kind of like flies over your head until you land the sale, and then it kind of made more sense.
Yeah, this is the way it always is. Until you actually get to use it and see success with it, you can't conceptualize some of the stuff we talk about.
Right.
You go, whatever. You're like, that seems like a platitude what you just gave me. It seems like something that it ends up being that easy. It really does when it goes back to it. So we try to overcomplicate it. So let's go ahead and talk about like, how did it feel? How did it feel? Well,
as soon as you got it felt great. It was feeling great as, so at the end, there's like all this paperwork stuff. So it seems like everything is going to go pretty well. So at that point, I was getting pretty excited. So when I closed, it was very exciting. Now, I don't know how it makes, how other people feel about their first sale, but it definitely made me want to pick up the phone again and start calling, right? So it's almost like it gave me that energy to go after the next sale, So, and I'm, probably similar with the rest of the people, but it made me think that, hey, I should try to do this again so I can try to land another sale today. And, that's kind of like, it's like motivation, right? But like being able to sell something is like, it's like reinforcement of like all the work that you put in, right?
Well, I mean, it's a neat reaction to have when someone accomplishes something.
Right.
You get boost of oxytocin, dopamine, sometimes even adrenaline, right? So it feels really good.
Right.
And it can absolutely become addictive. And that's an addiction you want. You want an addiction to accomplishment, and sales and stuff like that. You want to do it again right away. And you got on the phone right away again, and that's the right thing to do. Capitalize on that momentum. Right. That's the hardest thing to get is momentum.
Right.
That's why we get people on the phone so fast here. It's like, classrooms. Oh yeah, that's wonderful. Okay, great.
Right.
I just need you on the phone.
Right.
You'll get somebody. You know, the people need the help. They want to buy something. They also want to accomplish something.
Right.
Right. This guy got excited. He didn't push back on anything you asked him. He even went over and he went and got his Medicare card. Then he's later on, he's like, I need your Medicaid number. Okay. He went out and got it.
Right.
Right.
Right. And I think it happened because it's pro quo. Like I was helping him and he recognized that. So he was willing to do what it took to switch the account over.
Yeah.
You know, and what was also great was everyone out there was congratulating me after my first sale. So it was a great feeling that the whole team was supporting you and was happy about you landing a sale as well.
Yeah. It's great too because it's a very fast cycle that we have here getting people into sales. A lot of people think it's going to take a month or a week or whatever. It doesn't.
Right.
You got on the phone like later yesterday, and then today's first day, full day on the phone, and you're already making sales.
Right. So for those of you guys who are thinking of doing this, it's like before I came here, literally my feeling was that you go into some training, boot camp, you study for 2 weeks, and then boom, then you start with like the preliminary kind of call set up, maybe not even talk to clients, you kind of like help other existing brokers follow them around. But it was like, you know, feet to the fire, you know, first day, it's like, okay, Stefan, here's the list, start calling. And I'm like, are you serious? You want me to start calling? But I think you're right. Like the actual interaction with the clients must be done right away because you need to overcome that fear because that anxiety is pretty high at the beginning. But now, even after, so I'm talking about, I started at midday, so maybe even less than 2 days of calling, really, if you think about all the setups and everything. You know, I feel a lot more comfortable calling people because I think I realize I do not need to know everything right away.
That's right.
I do not need to do that. What I need to do is establish a rapport with the client and gather information. That's what you're doing. If you gather the correct information, then you'll be able to see if you can help them or not.
Right.
Right.
Right. And it's a unique thing that happens when you're first on it, because in a way you start looking at it from the perspective of, I'm going to help you, but I need you to help me too. We're going to help each other through this process. We're going to be together on it. I'm with you. Right. I'm on your side. And I think that really pays out a lot. And, you know, we do the same thing. I mean, like you got to ride shotgun with Jacob, your mentor, as he went and did some deals and made some calls and transfers. But ultimately speaking, man, I can't remember which fighter. It might have been Muhammad Ali, or it could have been George Foreman or Joe Frazier or anyone like that, you know, heavyweight boxers. All the training and all the planning out the world goes out of the window when you get punched in the face. Right? That's the real fight. And the key is to get that out of the way. Get it out of the way right away. So, you know, that's one of the reasons why we have the different tiers of leads and opportunity for you to call. It's okay if you call some people that are turning 65 and they say no. I got to like learn how to leave messages, learn how to do these basic things right away. It doesn't take more than a day for you to be ready to have an honest, integrated conversation with everybody.
Right.
And be able to just get that solution done for them.
I feel like those calling out, the ones, so I probably made about, I don't know, maybe over 100 calls calling out to people. That actually helped me on the inbounds call because I was completely, my guard was like, my elevation of anxiety was completely lowered by the fact that I had to make 100 calls, and I had people actually pick up and say, hey, don't call me again. You guys always call me, click, right? So the fact that like I went through that, having somebody call me, like it totally lowered the anxiety because you feel like, okay, well, that's the worst thing that can happen, right? Somebody picks up and say, hey, don't bother me, click, right? And so once that happens to you, you're like, oh, okay, well, it's not that bad.
Not that bad.
Yeah. And they have their own reasons, right? You don't know why they're, you know, why they are mad. Maybe they're having a bad day, you know, whatever it is, you know, if you know that that's part of it, then it just makes it a lot easier.
That's right. It helps out immensely. So you did a fantastic job, man. So you still riding the high?
I am, but I kind of feel like this. It's kind of weird, like, and it's great that Kim's here because she can maybe interject on that feeling. Is when you make a sale in the morning, you almost need to make another sale in the afternoon to kind of make the morning sale worth it. You know what I mean? Like if you sell one in the morning and then you don't sell anything in the afternoon, and then somebody like just shows up and then and then they sell one at the end of the day, well, you guys sold the same amount, right? Mm-hmm. So I almost feel like by getting in one early, it should motivate you to try to get one more in before the day ends, to kind of like show that there's a show that getting one in the morning was actually a benefit,
Right. Well, a lot of people, and that's a great mindset to have and a great feeling to have, because a lot of people that get one and they're like, oh, I'm already ahead, I'm going to coast. And then at the end of the day, it's like, that's all you got.
Right.
So I like it a lot. I also like what you're saying. It's like when you're describing this stuff, you're doing a great job because you're saying, I feel like. And that's all this is about. Sales is just about, either capitalizing on or trying to gestate and elicit a feeling, right? It's a connection business, right? Not in the sense of I got to make styles and connection. How do we generate an emotional response to a bunch of facts? Because facts don't matter. So the key is that, and I like asking people how they felt on the first sale, because the way you felt making a first sale is how each one of your customers feels when they buy something or when they're in the process of buying something. Like when we go through recommendation wrapped in a takeaway and stuff like that, your whole process of actually getting that app done and submitted, that was the reward system. Your brain went, whoa, I won something, right? You felt great. You want to do it again right away. So when someone goes through there and you have this long conversation with them, you find out what their needs are, you explain to them how this plan suits those needs and they're not losing anything and how everything's going to be better in their world and there's just a better overall option for them. Then they go through and they get it, or when they're in the process of getting it, let's say, for example, great, that's what we can do. Let's go. And they're like, yeah, okay. Then all the other stuff of like, go grab your Medicare card. Great. Now they're doing another thing that they're winning at. They're accomplishing another thing. So we set up a constant line of accomplishment for them. And at the end of it, it's a done application and they're incredibly happy. They just accomplished a whole lot and they kept on accomplishing over and over and over again. So that same feeling that you felt of wanting to do more, and that's what you try to generate inside the sales process for the client. That's how you don't have objections and questions, by the way. Keep that momentum going and keep that sense of accomplishment going. So no one's winning a championship and go, hey, is the trophy in beige? No, they're like, I'm winning. Let's go.
Right.
So I like that, man. So remember this feeling, because if you can, it's not just about trying to go get it again. But if you can understand that that's what you're actually starting to pull inside that conversation with a client, each one of those sales becomes easier.
All right.
Because they're going to feel the same thing by buying from you the way you feel about selling.
All right. All right. And I think there's and I don't know if you guys might not feel it anymore because you guys have been at it for a while, but for somebody new, just the navigation of all the stuff that you have to do is kind of like overwhelming, So like you're like frozen because you don't know what screen to go. Meanwhile, you still have to carry a conversation with the person. And I think that you need to do a lot of sales to make that part very comfortable. I noticed that people who are comfortable with that, they naturally are way more relaxed when they're talking with clients than like when I do it. I'm like kind of like on my toes and I'm trying to find the screen where I need to input the data and stuff like that. So it's a learning curve, but I think I need to do a lot of it to the point where I can navigate through anywhere without having to think about it. It has to be like almost like unconsciously, where to go. That way, like you can spend most of your time with your clients and what their needs are versus like, kind of like phasing out and kind of trying to figure out where to put in your what page to go to.
So just like with conversations and interactions, slow is fast, fast is dead. Right? So you're reading when you're looking at a screen. Always in the United States, because this is the way we read in the United States, start off at the left top corner and then start reading down like you're reading a page of a book. You'll find what it is and actually take the time to do it. A lot of people have trouble because we're literally looking at the thing that they should be doing. They're like, I don't know, put in there. Well, it says Part A effective date right next to where you're looking at.
All right.
You're so hyper-focused on this blank negative space that you have to fill that you're not looking at the instructions next to it. And to counter that, open up a page, top one. Oh, that's what it says. This is a blank. Look to the left of it. That's just telling you what to do. That's the label. The labels on everything are pretty self-explanatory, right? It's asking you to put this in. And then in a lot of these applications, if it sends out an error, puts an asterisk, a red line, or it reds out, or the box turns red, or there's an outline around it. It tells you what to do. So just slow down. The other person can't see what you're doing. And they can't do it themselves. So if I need to go replace a tire and I'm talking to someone who's never changed a tire, that tire will take as long as it needs to get replaced. Right? And if you were talking to a mechanic, he would have changed his own damn tire. So the anticipation is it's all self-inflicted. So just slow down. Take a breath. And just read for a second. One of the great things you did was when you were going through and you couldn't get Jacob on the line to conduct his agent duty on there. That guy stuck with you while you were just reading out loud some of the stuff. I'm looking at this stuff here. Oh, that's $0. That's $0. Oh, this is free. This is, $3. He started getting really excited about this prospect of what you were talking about. Right? By the time Jacob got on board, he was like, yeah, I want the thing that you just talked about. So it worked out good. Mm-hmm. Kim, you also made a sale this morning already.
I did.
Fantastic.
Thanks.
How'd it go?
Yeah, it feels good.
Talk about it. It feels great always.
Well, she was just calling because she couldn't use her over-the-counter card. It was just something pretty simple. Mm-hmm. But we built a great rapport, and she thought that she had a United Healthcare plan. And then what was it? And I looked at everything and I said, well, you know what, Shirley, you've got the best thing in the market for your needs and what you qualify for. So I say we just leave you right where you are, which, we do often. And then I can't remember right now what she said, but she mentioned something which prompted me to look her up and see exactly what plan she had. Here, she didn't have United Healthcare. Mm-hmm. She had an Aetna plan. Oh, I know what it was. She says, oh, wait a minute. Now I'm going through my wallet. Well, what's this Aetna card I have?
Oh.
So half the time, these people, I don't care how young or how bright they are, they don't know what they have. And it's not uncommon. So I looked it up and I said, Shirley, you've got Aetna. No wonder you can't use your United Healthcare card when you go to the pharmacy and you're trying to get over-the-counter benefits. Right. And so therefore, we just walked her right through it and said, well, you know what? Your doctors aren't even in network. She had 6 of them. Only 2 were in network with that Aetna plan. And she doesn't remember making the change. It was back in April, not very long ago. But it's just so unfortunate that is so common. And if I can early on portray to these people that I'm only here to help you and make sure you know what you got, you know what you don't have, and that you're not spending too much for anything, it's a great line. Mm-hmm. And it just calms these people down because 1 million people are calling them every day trying to get them to change, and they're not giving them the okay. They don't even know that they changed half the time because there's a lot of bad things going on out there. And so as long as I could go to bed every night, know that I didn't lie to anybody and I didn't put them in a plan they didn't want to be in, then we set ourselves apart from the norm of what's going on out there in this industry.
Right.
So anyhow, I was able to put her back in the plan that she thought she had all along. Good. It worked out great.
So let's walk through that a little bit. So How long was it before you were talking to her and you checked marks? How long was that before you checked marks?
Probably a good half hour.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And in that time, you're building rapport, you're talking to her, you're asking her questions, you're getting her doctors, you're doing the legwork.
Right, right.
So, and the amount of trust that you had at that point and the amount of discovery where she said, hold on, let me get my card and all this other stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
You want to double check everything, be thorough because she trusts you. Because she didn't want to let you offline until she was done,
Mm-hmm.
basically.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, do you think you would have been able to make that sale or accomplish anything if you had just checked marks right away and said, you're on an Aetna plan, just call this number?
No. No.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the thing. The ability for us to quickly access information and figure stuff out in a way hinders sales development.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I can't fathom why I would want to go ahead and shortcut the most important part of a conversation, but people do it all the time. And plus, when you're in that conversation, so she called up and she wasn't able to use what part of it?
The over-the-counter card at the pharmacy.
Okay. What other parts of the plan were really important to her?
She needed dental work done. She
Okay.
needed new dentures. She'd lost a lot of weight and now her dentures didn't fit. So we had a really fun talk about the fact that who knew, because I gain weight, I lose weight my whole life. And then I'm like, why aren't my shoes fitting anymore? Well, she thought that was hilarious because I didn't know that our feet got fat along with everything else, my butt too. so that was
You got to
fun.
balance, you need that bigger base.
Yeah. Who knew? So, just finding those little things like that to relate to them and get them to laugh. And early on in the conversation, and she says, man, you're making my day just to talk to these people like they're people and they're not a dollar sign. That's what sets our Medicare gurus apart from other places that I've worked. They just want you to sell, 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 sell. Look at these stats. Look at how long you were on the phone for. And you didn't get a deal, So that's not what we're about here. We're about building relationships and then the money comes.
Yeah, well, actually, a lot more money comes because here's the problem. In the course of the people are trying to get to it quickly, they got to burn through 5 times more people that they could have actually sold.
Right. That's so true.
So companies are out there going bankrupt right now on lead cost because they're not able to close a high percentage.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a lot of guys out there, they're thumping their chest at, 3 to 5% closing ratios on $50 or $60 leads.
Mm-hmm.
And the lead vendors don't help out because every lead vendor out there goes, it's 30% closing ratio. It's 30% closing ratio. It's not.
It's not.
Never is. Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, come on, guys. You pull that right out of there. Sometimes it's, and by the way, sometimes it's more than that. But that's every time I talk to one of them, that's what I hear. Everyone. So no matter what venue, no matter what avenue, whether it's WebGen, whether it's a call transfer, whether it's just an IVR routing, or all this other stuff we experiment with and we test for people. They all give that same number. It's amazing. It becomes an industry standard of puffery, is what they call it in that world. So
it's like being a weatherman. 30% chance every day. It's 30% chance of rain.
Right. So in a world where we find ourselves with all this disinformation, not only for the clients, but also for us, because we're also consumers too.
Right.
The only way to really make sure that you're doing the right thing is to do the right thing. Take the time. You're talking about all this other stuff and everyone else out there is like, oh, so you're trying to save money? So you just want more money every month for food? No, not necessarily. She wanted dental.
Yeah.
She wanted to be able to, and it wasn't working.
Yeah. Right.
I had this one when we were talking to you about it. He's like, well, what if he already has dental? Well, he's obviously not able to use it. Not using it. There's something wrong. Someone went and told him it's not going to work there. What's more important? Having a dental plan that might give you $500 more of a year that you might use in any given year, or going to see the dentist you want to see. I really want to get the good dentist. I really want to get the good doctor or the good specialist. That guy right there, pain specialist. Right. Every week he's in front of the pain specialist. It's absolutely critical to him. He would have never known that if he didn't take the time he did.
Same with you. This woman's losing weight and healthy benefits and all the other stuff. She's trying to do everything right. Let's get her a plan that makes sure everything's right. And now she's never going to leave you. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I told her, don't you answer the phone to anybody. Don't talk to anybody. I tell everybody that. Only talk to me. I'm your girl.
Because you got to fix something.
Yeah.
And it's nice when you fix something because then you have a license to tell people, go, hey, I'll fix this. I fixed it now.
Mm-hmm.
Don't break it again. Just
Yeah,
come to me.
don't break it again. Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
Jacob has a lot of experience with that with contractors at his house.
Everything's broken in my life. My spirit, my internet.
Internet. Well, that was the cul-de-sacs internet.
Yeah, cul-de-sac internet. Well, Penny just learned a hard lesson.
What was the lesson?
Don't count your chickens before they hatch. She went through and this lady was telling her, yeah, I'm on Medicaid. I get all this help. I said, okay. Well, you're on a standard plan. You're on Medicaid. You have your special enrollment. Man, this United Healthcare plan is going to work so good for you. It's got so many benefits. And I go, did you check her Medicaid status? Well, no, not yet. I go, okay, well, before we do anything, before I read you anything, before we even try it, what I want to do is let's check your Medicaid level. And Georgia the jungle back there. Check the Medicaid level. She started Medicaid in January, and she no longer has it.
She no longer has it?
No longer has Medicaid. She's like, but I have a card. And we're like, well, it doesn't matter. You have a card. It's an ongoing thing. So now that person went from all excited about United Healthcare. I'm going to get so many benefits. I'm going to get this over-the-counter card. Everything's going to be awesome. To now, it's like, well, what are you going to do for me?
Discovery and exploration.
Yeah.
Was she under 65?
Yep.
So the prospects of either a high deductible G or someone that's in that kind of area or any supplements pretty low. Was it a Texas or
Oklahoma?
Only plan A is under age 65, and that's going to be very expensive for her.
How do you, at what point do you get the Medicaid number? I don't remember.
Well,
is it at the end or?
You get it towards the end, but you can check on their stuff and their eligibility before that.
Mm-hmm.
So the key is that when you can make certain assumptions based off their current plan. That lady didn't have a plan, or she had just Medicaid starting in January.
No, she had a standard plan.
Yeah, so she had a standard
With
regular.
Medicare and Medicaid, she thought so.
Yeah. And low income subsidy, did you check her
She
subsidy?
doesn't have LIS either.
So she makes more than the 14 or just
So
under
apparently she must
$1,500.
have, Kim was laughing because after this, apparently she must have hit a scratcher in February that hit her over the income limit.
Or all of a sudden, it's not just income though. Keep in mind assets as well.
Too. Yeah.
Sometimes people out there, they're in bad shape until like a trust opens up for them, or they
Did
get
somebody
their,
leave you money behind? That's what we asked Kim's guy
their
today here too, trying to figure out him and Maryland.
Assets like a home?
Yep.
Also, that'll
A
count
boat.
into your.
Land.
$8,400 is the asset limit for that. But now here's the other thing that happens too, and you got to be cognizant of that by who you're talking to. A lot of these people are on early Medicare because they've been disabled and hurt, and a lot of times there ends up being a settlement that comes with that, and that can bump up. If I got hit by a Walmart truck, right, and I've been disabled now for a couple of years, yeah, Walmart might already be doing that, but there could be a cash settlement that comes in, and now my assets are high.
But Stefan, as somebody new kind of coming into this,
Right.
the whole thing of it is you don't want to pigeonhole yourself into one thing until you know everything out about them first.
Yes.
Kind of like how we were talking to the lady this very morning, where it's like, I'm not trying to do anything, I'm just trying to get to know you.
Right.
I'm trying to know your situation, see what's going on. So when you pigeonhole yourself like that, it's just this false pretense that, man, they're going to give me such a good plan. They're spoiling me. I deserve it. Woo! I got that cash card in my head already. I know what I'm going to spend it on. And then it gets to the actual part where it's like, all right, it's time to do it or shut up. And you go to do it, and guess what? You legally cannot.
That's right.
Because and we're not saying people are lying. What we're saying is with all this stuff, you have to fact check it before you suggest it. Because then if you suggest something and you get them going on it, and they're like, oh yeah, that sounds great. and then you pull it away because you can't enroll them because you didn't do your homework, that conversation's over with. That relationship is over with. They're done with you. They're like, oh, this person's just trying to string me along, spend so much time with me just talking to me. I don't trust them anymore.
Well, and it's also just like we were talking about earlier, taking the little extra time. Just take that little extra time. At that point, when you already got everything in there, you can see what the qualification is for changing. By the way, we even script that out. Verify their eligibility. I mean, that's
how at what process would you be verifying that? Do you know?
For the dual special needs plans.
Okay.
So we can do it a few different ways. We can ask you, grab your Medicaid card,
right.
Income limit, certain questions that we ask, we can kind of figure out. So do you pay your Part B premium or do they pay it for you? Because like the one that we were working with Kim this morning, the guy out of Maryland, he's been getting the runaround from Medicaid for years now, where he's on it, he's off it, he's on it, he's off it. He just keeps changing. He doesn't know. And his income, his Social Security check is $986. That's his only income. Some reason I think he said a few months back, right? He said, out of nowhere, I just lost $178 out of my check. And then he went and looked and he's like, it was my Part B premium and it was a 7-hour premium for my Advantage plan that I have.
Yep.
He goes, so now I was only at $969, $970, take away $178 of that. That's all I have. And I call Medicaid and they say, no, I don't qualify. And so sometimes you run into Medicaid help with it, but in that whole situation, we were in control. We didn't suggest, oh no, we're going to get this done for you. Let's just call Medicaid afterwards. We'll see. I had to tell him because he was like, look, nobody helps me. I was like, well, it's okay. So like we called Cigna to verify if he does have Medicaid. They were like, no, he doesn't. So then we were just going through things. We were talking about the SHIP office because they helped him before, but then Medicaid kicked him off. Everything like that. We were in control of that conversation because he was following what we were saying. If it's the opposite, if they're like, oh, that's great, and then you go to actually give the command, okay, this is what we're going to do. Go grab your card. Let's put it in here. Oh, wait, you don't qualify? That's when you lose the trust.
There's also another factor of quickly finding out if they're already on a special needs plan, chances are they qualify for a special needs plan because they haven't lost it. So that's the first step. What are you currently on? That's why earlier when you ran into that, I was like, what are they on?
Right.
Go get them to read their card. And just like I explained to you earlier, start off at the top left corner, start reading.
Right.
Like you're reading
so
a page.
The fact that he had that DSMP at the end already as a card meant that he most likely did have
Most likely.
Medicare.
And if you notice what we did before we did the application was I pulled up the summary of benefits to see what level of Medicaid he had to be to get his current plan and what level of Medicaid he has to be to get the new plan that we enrolled in. So a lot of those times you don't have to verify the Medicaid. You just have to look at the plan and say, okay, this plan takes SLMB, SLMB plus, QMB, FB, QMB plus. Okay, pretty much everybody here is going to do it. Well, if he qualifies for this plan and this plan has the same requirements, he's going to qualify for this one. It's that simple.
Here's another thing that's going to confuse you.
Yeah, I was going to say
Ready?
this a lot.
That, talking about DSNP and Medicaid, that's just medical. That's just state funded. When you deal with medications, that's a whole separate entity because when they have when they have medication assistance, that's through the federal program of the Extra Help Part D. So another thing you have to discuss with them is that you want to check medications as well, because if they have that same level of extra help, which is a whole different measurement, then most likely they're going to have the same coverage of medications. But you always want to check because sometimes that plan does not cover that medication. It's very rare, but you always want to make sure that the medications are covered under the new plan, because the rule about Medicaid and the rule about extra help is that they are a secondary payer. They don't provide any type of coverage. They just pay the bill. So if there's a drug that is not on that new plan, guess what? Medicaid's not going to pay for it.
Yeah.
And we see a lot of people that we talk to. I know you've talked to a lot of people that are like, I thought I was on Medicaid. Why am I paying $500 for this drug? Well, the stupid agent before me put you on this plan, and that plan does not cover that drug. And therefore, the Medicaid or extra help is not going to pay for it.
That's why it's so important, like we caught with your guy. Oh, why is it showing $50,000 a year cost? Well, he's taking Mobic, but he's taking the generic. Always ask, if the generic shows up, are you taking the generic? Because they always are. Because that was $5,000 a month in cost if you take the name brand, but the generic is what they really prescribed you.
And the state's not going to pay $50,000 when they can pay, or the federal government's not going to pay $50,000 when they can pay $5,000.
Right.
So when I asked them, I thought, on the drop down, they have a little icon where you click on it, it says generic.
Show generics if available, yes.
Right. So I clicked on it and then I picked one of the generic ones, because that's what he said.
Right.
But then when you reviewed it, it wasn't in the generic. It was right. So that's something I have to kind of like
Always be cognizant.
You'll
of
get
that.
more confident with prescription. I know it freaks you out.
Right.
That's why I'd say when you're looking into Sunfire, just type in the first 3 letters and go from there. But it's one where a lot of the people that we work with, you're rarely going to run into brand name drugs. And if they are brand name drugs, it is some of the lower brand name drugs.
Even with med sub clients, everyone calls their stuff by the name brand. All of them do, right? Crestor, yes, and atorvastatin calcium. That's what it is. But the issue is that you have to ask them, hey, are you on just the generics plural? If they're on 1 or 2 generics, they're all on. Every generics is going to be available. So you better get good at Google real quick, figuring out which is generic and what's not, because that's a big thing.
How'd you type it up? You type it up and then write in generic?
No.
Like, do you remember what that one prescription was? I can't remember. It was like 5. It was like 5 letters.
Mobic.
Yeah, Mobic or something.
No, it wasn't Mobic. It was a different one that we looked up. But I told you, I was like, stop looking it up in Sunfire. Put it into Google. Put in whatever letters you think it is, and then just type prescription. And then it went and got it. I think it was the brand name for whatever pantoprazole was.
Yeah.
Recent.
It starts with an R.
Yeah, I can't remember it.
But you found the generic one because it was on the side of the Google search, right?
Yep. Because it was in the Google search.
I'll give you a website too. It's drugs.com that I use. It explains the drug. It gives you the generic of that drug and explains how its usage.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we'll put that on your computer.
Okay,
But here's something that'll make you feel better. I know you're like, your head's swirling right now. Medicaid, extra help. Do you know why we all know this? Because we do it all day.
Right.
You will be where we are at in due time. And I know you want to be there. You're like, I'm soaking it in. But it's okay because I was right where you were at. Like, what? Medicaid? Extra help? It's all different.
Yeah.
But after we've been doing it for
I
a long time,
started Advantage plans 3 months ago.
I still have to help him. I mean,
You still have to help me.
It's so sad,
got
too.
You haven't done any Advantage plans before?
3 months ago. Yep.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Oh, it's surprising.
Right.
Frank's only been doing it, what, 2
2 years?
2.5 years now, Advantage plans?
Yeah, but I mean,
We've been in the Medicare realm for longer, but actually putting our name on it.
dude, I haven't even. Okay, here's the thing. This doesn't take a rocket. I haven't even learned how to reset my oven clock. Okay, I don't know how.
It's a single man right there.
Right, the guys.
That's a single
Okay,
man.
I don't know how to reset my oven. The power went out at my townhouse. I don't know how to reset my oven or my clock. I'm telling you right now, it doesn't take that long. It just takes repetition here. So the systems that we have here, the systems that you're using, aren't that complicated. If I can figure it out just through repetition, because the first person to sell Advantage plans in this office was me. There wasn't anyone to teach me. I just went, all right. It just takes a little time. It's okay to go create test leads for yourself. Go put yourself, like right now, the next steps now, you're for a sale. Go into the enrollment engine at Sunfire, right? Because you need to be able to describe a signature process to a client. Go create your own scope of appointment and sign your own scope of appointment on your phone. You'll know exactly what they're looking at that point, right? Now, don't sign yourself up with an Advantage plan. You don't qualify for one. But you absolutely do that.
That's also why I sent you that video.
Right, that was pretty helpful. I could see what they were seeing, you know?
Right.
It's like, because you were saying like, where do I sign this? I'm like, yeah. It's like, well, do I put my birthday or something? And I'm like, yeah, put it in.
All right.
I was looking at Frank and he's like,
Yeah. But go through after work today and practice those things. That's the other thing too. Like when you get hired on, we don't promise you the world. We promise you the resources of the world. You know, as a lot of this has to do with going out, just like it's any other
Sounds very
college.
romantic. I don't promise you the world, but I promise you the resources of the world.
Well,
It sounds like a.
wait, yeah.
Sounds
So,
like a Mariah Carey song.
Oh God, don't. Now you said it, she's gonna find it. Now they're gonna get royalty issues. So no, the problem is that when you run into that is that a lot of people, when they get in this, they think, oh well, this is just work, and it's not a skill you have to learn. So they don't take any extra time to learn it. They don't go home. They don't study the presentation. They don't go home. They don't actually practice using the tools. They don't create the test beds. And then they wonder why their development is so slow.
And they don't ask for help.
Oh, they don't ask for help. Ooh.
Don't be afraid to ask for help here.
yeah, you don't have to worry about that. I was trying to grab Jacob the whole time. And Jacob was like, he's like trying to do three things. He's like,
Because Frank was out.
I need Frank.
Frank was out and Brad's out, and I'm the only agent
Yeah, and
here.
I'm
and
on
Brett's
the
doing
phone.
interviews.
Well,
Yeah.
Here's the issue too. You are also bad at asking for help from other people because you know how to handle everything.
I know, that's why I want to handle it.
And you get pouty when you get piled up with stuff.
But yes, because I can't handle
He does. I'm
Which
being
I can't
nice.
handle.
No,
No, yes, I do
to
get pouty.
Jacob when he gets like
I'm being-
5 new people.
We max
Yeah.
out at 4.
Oh, max
No,
out.
no more than
This is
yeah.
a rare occasion, just because Brad's not here to handle the remaining book. You were out yesterday afternoon too.
Right.
You were in like a 3-hour meeting. And it was his first day on the phone, and it's like, I think we did one yesterday afternoon, I think so. And then I had Penny's lady who was hitting on me on the phone, and then Penny had to leave, so I had to do Penny's application, but then Penny came back to do the application because she missed her doctor's appointment. And then Christine, I was helping her because she had a referral to herself for like a 3 policy T65, and I was just like,
Does she get that one?
we have it scheduled today at 3.
Wonderful. That's going to be a good day
And
for her.
So I went home and I told Michelle I'm not cooking. I am getting a 4-piece spicy mix from Popeyes and 2 biscuits. And I'm sitting on the couch. And then soon enough, after I eat, she's like, hey, we have to go. I need the truck to go run an errand. And I'm like, well, you're not backing my truck out the door. I guess we're running an errand. Yeah,
Fantastic.
just gets a little
It's
crazy.
we're busy. It's good. But I want you to do me a favor. I want you to make a note in your notebook to watch this video in a month. And I want you to see how much you've grown in a month. I mean, we talked about it this morning. Like you've been on the phone 2 days. You already got a sale. You already are figuring out very quickly how easy it gets when you get through those reps.
Well, I don't know about easy, but the amount of knowledge you're getting it through a fire hose, right? So every
Yeah.
sale, when you don't know anything, it's like massive amounts of
Yeah.
knowledge.
And the way we do things here, we're not going to pull you in a training room and discuss through a PowerPoint presentation how it works. We're going to put the fire hose right on you. And it's like, all right, dude, here we go.
I like how Jacob handles that. I'm like, Jacob, it's like, yeah, go ahead, do it. Yeah, you're doing good. Just keep going.
He already made me. I about pissed myself laughing on the floor because yesterday we were talking about like what happens if his spouse picks up. And I was like, just roll with it.
Yeah.
Just go. And today I hear him. He's like, his first words when they say it, it's like, you sound too pretty to be Ross. I was like, I told you that yesterday.
Yeah.
You're using it. Oh my God. Thank you.
This is so awesome.
Thank you for using it. You're listening.
Yesterday I got stunned because I was trying to call a lady and a guy answered or something,
Yeah.
right? So, or vice versa. And Jacob said, hey, look, you gotta know how to react. You were stunned and then all of a sudden you're thrown completely off and then they're like, yeah, well, I'm not interested, blah, right? But it's like, yeah, if you gotta change it up, right? So for me, if I call a guy and a lady answers like, oh, hey, you sound way too pretty to be Richard or something,
Yeah.
right? So I'm like, oh, that's
Oh, it's a lady.
So today
Hey, lady.
I had the
It's a
same
lady.
thing. I was calling a guy and the lady picked up, and I used the same line. And
Did she give you her credit card number right then and there?
It worked like a charm, but she was
Nice.
definitely.
Nice.
But she had her guards up, but then after she
exactly,
left,
her guard was completely up, and when he said that, she was like,
Okay,
you know what? I am pretty.
Yeah.
I am pretty. Okay.
All right.
Talk to you, and she's like, look.
Well played, sir.
She's like,
Well played.
He's just not here right now. He'll be here in the afternoon, so just call
But I
us in
can
the
talk to
afternoon.
you.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Hey, you made her feel good.
Yeah.
Making people feel good is important.
But I feel like it's almost like it's like one of those video games kind of thing where if you can keep people talking long enough, eventually they'll tell you everything they need to know.
Welcome to the Frank Bryant School of
Oh, really?
Selling.
Yep, that's it.
So that if I can bore you enough.
Yeah.
So that one
From charm to boredom.
right.
That is a very
So that one
elongated transition.
joke got me 2 more minutes with her. You know what I mean?
That's a good lesson. Worry about the next minute. Don't worry about the close. Focus on the conversation. Be present in the now instead of worrying about what's going to happen 20 minutes from now, because you'll never get there if you skip that other part.
Because I would have been stunned again, but then you gave me that gem, and it was like, oh, I know this one.
You know, outside of oven appliance or kitchen appliances and stuff, I'm not a dumb guy. People go, Frank, you know a lot about a lot of stuff, and I really know very little about a lot of stuff. But I have had 20 or 30,000 conversations with a lot of people who are experts in their fields. There's a lot you learn in this business. And the reason you get to learn that stuff is because you engage in a conversation.
You listen.
And you listen. You know how many economists I've talked to in my career? I'm like MSNBC or whatever, or Fox News or Fox Business, all of these things. I don't care. It's just like academic to me, because it's like, you know, I've talked to these people. I've talked to former U.S. ambassadors, right? Those are my clients. Firemen, fishermen, right? All these people, tons of police officers.
They all got stories.
All of them got stories, and all of them like talking about what they did. They all love it, and they get just this myriad of perspectives. It ruins like whatever. That's one of the reasons I don't like social media. What am I going to learn on social media? I just get on the phone with a client. You know how much I know about nails, for God's sakes? How many salon owners I've talked to, or
like roofing nails, like
no, like hand nails. Look at this. I'm not doing that stuff. But they're like, yeah, so you do the acrylic? And I'm like, okay, well, fantastic. So you got to buff it down to get into it, right? So that's the whole thing, is that next minute is where that magic happens. We get into that next second. Oh, you sound way too pretty. Ah, that's awesome. Yeah, let's talk about that. And then they there's that silent part. It's like, well, so what's going on?
Well, this is good, because nobody else is doing that.
No one.
What are you going to do?
They want you to, the organizations want you on the phone, closing that deal. They're not telling you to build rapport or spend however much time you need to spend, whether you get the deal or not.
They want to manage you by numbers.
Here's the beautiful irony of it. When you realize that you were able to be Kim on the phone, and you're doing more business than you were when you were being hammered to do it the right way or follow the metrics, you know?
Because here's the thing, metrics are numbers. And if I'm going to keep on managing you by just raw metrics, then I'm actually going to force you to treat your clients like numbers.
Right. Yeah, what's better advice? If I'm your supervisor, if I come to you and say, look, Kim, I'm looking at your metrics, and I see here that your talk time is a little bit longer than expected. We need to shorten that up. And also, I see your open injections are a little bit, your talk time in the first 90 seconds are a little bit lower, 75%. We want to get that down to 40%. Or, hey, Kim, so I had a deal yesterday. Great job. Keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
You know why? Because this is America, and we don't operate off the metric system here. We measure success in 12ths.
Well said.
Right? So.
the Toby Keith.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I feel like, because I've seen you work at eHealth and I see you work here, I feel like you're much more comfortable doing what you do here. You got support here, and you feel vindicated that, oh, I'm having conversations that take an hour and a half. I'm doing deals. And instead of me being chastised for doing it, I'm being praised. And I'm actually getting to the level of people are listening to my calls now because they're seeing that you're doing business the way that you're doing it, and you're setting an example, which is any other big e-health or We Health or Me Health, whatever agency we're talking about, would love to have.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
I
it.
think it's kind of what Kim mentioned earlier too. Psychologically, it's better for the agents, because if you're just like trying to crunch people through the thing, I think it's harder to have a long run process having that kind of mentality, because it wears on you, because you don't really feel like you helped that person. Like this person, even though it was my first sale, I can sleep soundly tonight knowing that I'm actually helping this guy have a better life through the process of changing his health insurance, right? Not me only, but him as well. And I think that builds longevity in terms of you being a good agent versus if you're like, yeah, I have like 10 minutes, I'm just gonna, turn this guy over, even though I don't totally understand everything he has, just so I can make a buck. Psychologically, I think it damages you, and it doesn't make you want to do that kind of a job for a long period of time.
Well, with it, and this is just two examples from the past 8 work hours here. Yesterday afternoon, the one that me and Penny closed was absolutely one of the most I've ever laughed on the phone with a lady who was just obsessed with me. Or she was calling me sexy on the phone, like she was, but it wasn't in like the creepy way, okay?
Yeah.
She was like flirting, she was playing it up. She's like, look, I've been widowed for 10 years. She was having fun, but Penny was egging her on too. She was like, he's also 6'5". I was like,
Oh God, that was so. I saw you cracking up on the floor. I was like, what happened?
and then she was like, are you married? And then Penny was like, you're 2 months too late. I was like, well, yeah, true. She was like, I can still change that. I got 2 months. And I was like, okay, can we just get it signed, please? All right, let's get it signed, then we can flirt. But you go from that conversation at 4:30 yesterday to leaving at 5 o'clock to the one that me and Kim had this morning with the guy in Maryland, where I have a grown man on the phone crying because nobody has ever helped him. And he's just been asking for help. And that's what we did. We couldn't help him with his plan, but we can help him as a person.
There's so many people that need that.
And there's so many people that need it, but it's just like you said, it's more about being a good human first is going to lead you to good outcomes. But it can take you from the highest of highs where you're laughing because you're crying so much to where I about started crying at Kim's desk. Talking just because he broke down and he was like, look, like you have no idea. I've only talked to you and Kim for an hour and a half here, but you've already helped me out more than people have in 5-10 years in a situation. Nobody calls the company with me. Nobody gives me advice to what I do. I don't have anybody to help me.
Mm-hmm.
I have to do everything myself. And you kind of see where I'm at right now, where I've been doing everything by myself and I don't have an answer.
That's right.
I have nothing to say for. So that's why I need help. And I was like, dude, that's exactly why we're here. And I was like, I don't care if we enroll you in a plan at this point, if we do anything like that. I don't care. I just want to make sure that you do have somebody to call.
Right.
And somebody to rely on. Even if you just need to talk to somebody. Like you can tell you just wanted to talk, but it was a grown man in his 50s crying on the phone this morning at 9:30 a.m. Whereas if you go back an hour before in work time, I'm getting harassed by Penny and this lady all over the phone for sounding sexy. But it's the ability to go to that high level and that low level and just be there with the client knowing that you are helping them in the long run. So that's why all of us do it, because of exactly what you said.
Right.
Well, and the tie-in on that too is, after you've done this for a long time, like I have, you start looking at your career as a series of milestones and lessons. Ties into directly what you're talking about there, what both of y'all are talking about, is that at one point, and I can't remember exactly when it was a few years in, where everyone has those one clients. I didn't want to, they're just barking at you. At one point I realized that the most angry people are usually the people that are in the most pain, right? They're in pain. And what they really do is, like, psychologically, I had to trick myself into going, okay, someone's literally telling me to go F myself, right? I mean, they're, I don't want all these calls. I want this. And really what they said, and I had to trick myself going, just imagine everything that they just said They put the word help in front of it. Help, I'm getting 500 calls. Help, my doctors don't take this. Help, I don't have any
to
money.
lean to help Penny here. I want to reiterate
That's
that.
good.
Stefan does that every time somebody does that. I'm coming.
Fantastic.
I'm leaving a note here. But how many 15 how many 15-minute conversations did you have yesterday from people that go, I'm so tired of getting these calls?
Right.
Yes, and just if you just put in there, like in your mind, every time they make a complaint or something on there, because too often we go, oh, well, that's not me, and we get defensive. Well, really what they're doing is when they're vocalizing that anger, vocalizing that frustration or that pain, is really they're saying, help, I am having this happen to me. And the key is, and the easiest thing I found, because I'm kind of lazy, is no matter what, well, I can help with that. What? I don't have anything with my dental. I don't have this. I don't have this. I don't have this. This isn't working. My doctor's a jackass. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, gosh, that's awful. I can help with that. Huh? Wait, what? You can do what now? You can help me? Yeah, I'm here to help. How are you going to help? Well, let's figure it out. Let's go through this. Let's go through these steps. And by the end of it, I'm going to help you out by getting you the best possible plan for the best possible care. Make sure all your doctors are taken. Make sure you have all the other coverages and all the other ancillary benefits that you need.
Right. I kind of like what you said yesterday when they start saying stuff like that. I don't want to buy anything, blah, blah, blah.
Good.
And you're like, hold on, right? I don't know if I need to sell you anything because I don't know anything about you yet.
This conversation's not about that.
Right. I need to find out more about you, and if I can then sell, show you something that's actually better than the plan you have, then I will sell it to you.
Well, what if it's just me telling them how to access the benefits on their current plan?
Right.
I'm just here to help you. That's where we are at this part of the conversation. If it so turns out that helping you involves writing you a policy, then I'll do that. But first, let's figure out what's going on to see how I can help. If helping you is just giving you the number to the carriers, like customers say, hey, this is the number that you need to go so you can get that new card sent to you. What's it hurt? Right? So, but you have to immediately divorce yourself. You can't be so invested in an outcome that it prevents you from doing the right thing and therefore destroys your ability to achieve the outcome. You can't. There's too often, I see it in all sorts of industries, all sorts of fields. I see it everywhere. It doesn't matter whether it's software development. It doesn't matter if it was actual art. Artists do this all the time. They're so invested in an outcome and meaning something that makes something look some way, some little nuance or detail, or something that they turn around and they absolutely screw up the entire process and they make garbage. And we are making something here. We're making a relationship. We're making a connection with people. So if I'm going to base all of my success off of whether or not I got to write a piece of paper with their name on it, then this is not going to be a good relationship. And I'm not going to do my job well. So it's just divorce yourself from that notion. Yeah, you're going to make a ton of sales. You need to get past the first 7 seconds of a call. Then you need to get to the next minute, and then the next minute, and the next minute, and the next minute. The sale is a foregone conclusion. If there is an availability for a sale, if there's anything that can benefit them, and they qualify, they are signing up with me. Now I just got to figure out how to get there. And that's just the simple formula of not screwing it up. That's all it is. Best way to win is don't lose. So, yeah. So that's why I really like, and also I love the fact that you're actually referencing the script. You're not following it to a T, but you're studying, and I can tell that you're studying, and I can tell that you're going through this process and understanding that there are steps in an interaction.
Yeah, I mean, I am following it very closely as possible because that's my best guidance.
Right.
If you guys were next to me, that's what you would do. But I realized you can't be like a robot, right? Like if they already gave you the answer to the next question, then you really cannot ask that same question again, or you sound like somebody who's not even really paying attention, right? So you have to make that slight adjustment to do it. But I think what's great about that is you can always reference back. So when you're lost, you're like, okay, where am I supposed to go with this conversation?
Do you have any idea how many agents come in and get provided that thing? They don't even look at it. They don't even, it's like, here's a recipe book, or here's a step-by-step guide that shows you this is the shortest, most effective route to success, right? Give you a 15-year head start, in some cases a 30-year head start, right? If you want to go back with some of the lessons learned from it. And they're like, It's like, okay, well, I see that you want to go ahead and have this, see that you want to go ahead and start where we started off, and then great, you'll be where we are after 35 years. Rather get you there in like 2 or 3.
I think it's also important because you don't know how valuable the answers are until at the end. So sometimes you're like, do I need to ask these questions? Most of them are going to say no. But some of the other plans, like the burial plan and the indemnity plan, like that, if you ask ahead, then when it comes to labor, even if they have a plan that they're already happy with, there's still plans that they could get on top of it to make their plans overall better. But if you don't know that, then you don't even know that you can suggest.
We don't at this point know whether they're on a supplement or an advantage plan or just Medicare by itself. We don't know all these things. We don't know if we're going to have a supplement conversation, if we're going to have a hospital indemnity conversation. We don't know all of these things. So before we start filling out scopes of appointment and figuring out what it is, we need to know what avenue we're going on. And I tell you what, I'm always going to push subs first. Subs are king. Medicare supplements, standardized Medicare supplements are the best thing that anyone can get. If I'm talking to someone who's under the age of 65, some states allow you to do subs at any age. Great. I'm going to figure all that out before we go on a course of action. So, and then once you get into that scope of appointment, you're locked into only the things that can be done in a scope of appointment. So I need to know your entire insurance picture before we take these next steps. It informs where I'm going to direct you.
Right. Those are all awesome points. Yeah. I love these talks because, especially for me, it's like where I get information. So you could have told me 10 things, but then 2 things kind of stick in my head, and then that's what I take outside, and every time there might be a different things, and so depending on my level, I'm kind of taking what I think is the most important thing, like kind of the aha, and then taking that out and then trying to implement it.
Well, and that's the king of all this is repetition. While we might cover 10 things and you take 2 things and start making those and implementing those and seeing an improvement, that doesn't mean we stop talking about the other things.
Exactly.
A lot of people see that as pedantic and repetitive, but there are some fundamental truths of being a human being, right? Generally, it's like the golden rule and stuff like that. These things recur over and over again in societies and civilizations because they're true. So if it's true, then it's worth saying over and over again until people can get it and use it.
But to me, right now, the way I feel is like I need to learn the fundamentals.
Always start with that.
So the fundamentals is where I need to perfect it so I can do the more difficult part once it comes down to it. And that's where I think sometimes people, like I can see that thing being like people start dropping the fundamentals and not doing the exact procedure every time.
And then they're right back down to zero production.
Right. And what I realized with Jacob, when he did that, with all that experience, Jacob still followed that thing as though like it was given to him that day.
Right. Because Jacob had also experimented with that concept of going way off course and saw a drop in production. Jacob just learns real fast. I was able to throw a lot at him real fast and he retained a lot of it, but he also went through that whole cycle very quickly.
Right.
And then said, nope, that's not working. Get back to basics.
Right.
So, but speaking of feeling and getting back to basics, how do you feel right now?
Well, I feel good. I think, there's no, like you said, there's no way for me to get better without actually doing the work. So like the first person I sign is not going to be, it's going to be way harder than the 10th person I sign and then the 20th person. And by the time I do enough of these, everything will be routine and I'll know what to do and I can spend more time with the clients. And that way,
by the time you get to 20 of these, it's just going to be like, let's just talk about fishing for an hour.
Right.
I mean, we got it. It's done.
Right.
You'll know in a few seconds. what you're gonna
That's kind of what I need to get to. And the only way you're going to do that is you're going to need to talk to a lot of folks and go through your learning curve.
It's only going to take a few weeks, man. That's how fast it is for us.
Yeah.
So on that note, since you are feeling good, you feel like you want to go make another sale?
Of course.
Let's do that.
All right.
So, all right, guys, thanks for your time here. If you want to learn more, go to insurasales.com. Also, feel free to sign up with InsureLink while you're on insurasales.com. It is the social media platform. And I don't like calling it social media. Really, it's a business media platform where people can sign up. It's only for agents. It's by agents. It's not a recruiting center. Don't bother to sign up if you're a recruiter. It is where agents share their knowledge about actual production and sales and running their agencies and their own business. So go in there, sign up, start contributing, start sharing. That's also where you'll find guys like all of us here. We're all on it, and we're starting to put up content ourselves on here. So if you're seeing this, thanks for your time, and good luck out there. Get selling. So very good, man. Thanks, man, for your time on that.